Welcome to Tri-State Tennis Tips. Today's episode we're going to talk about how to apply the way the professionals get coached to our recreational coaching. And we're going to get this from Miraban Aranshad's Tennis Summit 2019 and an on-court professional coach named Sara Stone. So if you saw our previous episode, if you haven't seen it, you might want to watch it now. It's with Paul Annacone and how he coached Pete Sampras and Roger Federer. So if you like this kind of stuff, stay tuned. I'm going to show a clip from the Tennis Summit, and this would be a clip where he interviews Sara Stone and he's going to ask her some questions. So let's take a peek.
Hey everyone, I'm Miraban Aranshad and we're here at Tennis Summit 2019 to talk about how we can apply on-court coaching principles from the pro level to our games with Sara Stone. I'm really excited and honored to have Sara on the summit this year, and she was also on the summit last year too, so it's always great to have wonderful coaches reappear on the summits. And Sara, to tell you a little bit about her resume, because it's a very extensive one, she is the CEO and founder of the Women's Tennis Coaching Association, which is a wonderful organization which has been doing a lot for tennis, and especially for females who are in the game, but to everybody. Also Sara has been coaching on the WTA tour for over 10 years, so a ton of experience there. As a former professional player, Sara has a vast amount of experience at the very top of women's tennis. And Sara has coached numerous pro WTA players, including American Fed Cup player Alexa Glatch, Alexandra Krunic, and Samantha Stosur, who, as you probably know, has won several Grand Slams, and those were won while Sara was coaching her.
Now, how this guy gets to interview Samantha Stosur's coach and Paul Annacone, who's like the top cat in tennis commentary and coaching on TV and in the professional world. Everybody knows Paul Annacone, so how he gets to interview these folks is beyond me. But this is why I believe that this is a very, very good course. And I look forward to doing this because in this way I'll get the most out of it, so I'm gonna review every aspect. So here's, you just heard her credentials, now here's her advice.
What would you say is the true purpose of on-court coaching?
It's interesting because I read a lot of things that are quite negative about on-court coaching, that the women need help, can't they figure it out themselves and things like that. It wasn't the players that asked for the on-court coaching. It was the WTA trying to implement a new initiative to make tennis more exciting and to make the viewers learn more about the game while they're watching. So I think for club players or people playing leagues, by having the access to what those coaches are saying during the match, it's a great learning tool for your club player to know that they're dealing with the same kinds of pressure and what could they do in their matches so that they can win more matches, basically.
I was just watching some grass court tennis in Germany and in England. And I guess it was Rotterdam or some Stuttgart, but they had some on-court coaching, and I actually watched it. Great coaching. But the players weren't doing better. In my opinion, what the criticism is about on-court coaching is valid. And she had mentioned it, and that is, why should players need to be coached in the middle of a match? If the coaching is, and shouldn't they be able to make their own decisions in the heat of the battle? I mean, that's important. You're not going to, if you're in any kind of battle, you're not going to like, hey, well, let's stop here and let me, to a certain extent, you need to manage your own, that's part of the battle, okay? Knowing how to cope with difficulties without outside help. In fact, in the regular game, the coaches are fine for that. If they get any kind of coaching while the player's playing, they get fined or they get warned. And I agree with that. With that said, that I agree with it, there are still some valid coaching tips that she gives.
And so what mistakes have you seen certain coaches make during the on-court coaching sessions?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it seems to be the same mistakes that they make in that 90 seconds that they make on the court when they're working with a player. Because as coaches, what we're there for is to help people get better, and we're trying to fix something all the time. So we want to give advice on how do you do that better? How do you do this better? And you give too much information. So a lot of players will be watching this, club players, top players. I know you have a really big audience. You need to remember that sometimes you might need to say to your coach, okay, let's just focus on maybe 2 things because that's all I can absorb. There's coaches that go out there and they say, hit there, do this, do that, do something else. Okay, you look a little bit tired. Do you have a headache? It's just an information overload. And it's quite stressful when you go out and you have to do that. I mean, right before I know that the player will probably call me out, I'll say to the box and the people sitting with me, okay, I got to get ready. What am I going to say when I get out there? And I actually sometimes run it by the people that I'm sitting with to make sure I'm very clear on what I'm going to say when I get out there.
Okay, so right now what she was doing there was she was coaching coaches and what not to say, what coaches shouldn't say. So I'm going to give you one of the best advices I've gotten from a coach. It wasn't so much advice as it was how he prepares his student or his tennis player to go out and win games. So let me set this up a little bit. This is one of the top tennis players in the state, and I've seen him play. So I've had the opportunity to get with his coach and take a couple lessons. But one of the things he said was, when this tennis player goes out there, he's already beaten that player before the game even starts. So now I'm curious, okay, this guy beat the player before he even walks on the court. Of course, it's probably true because he's the number 1 in the state, meaning that everybody he's played so far, there's nobody in this state who's better than him, or because he was ranked number 1 at one point. And so I said, what does that mean? He won before he walked on the court. And this coach told me he's done more suicides, he's done more serves than the other player, he's done more forehands than the other player, he's done more backhands than the other player, he's done more tactical shots, he's done more drills, he's done more receiving the serves. And that's what makes him confident, because he already beat the other player in all the aspects of practicing. So there's nothing that he hasn't practiced, and he's confident that he's done it more than the other player. So that's how you achieve your highest potential, or to go to the next level, is you really have to understand that before you walk on that court, you are already beating that player. And if you haven't, you might lose. You understand? In any case, so let's hear her next tip.
And what's an example, Sara, of something that maybe you said recently to a player on court, and how did that work out? And actually, we were talking before this, and I understand that you have a clip, so that would be cool if you want to play it.
Yeah, sure. This tournament was the first WTA title that Krunic had ever won, and I went out on the court 3 times a match. She was a set and a break time. I'll screen share here for a second.
The first chance you have in the point, you have to physically move up inside the court and take the ball early. She doesn't hit the ball huge, but she takes the ball really early, and that's why it's hard on grass, because you just don't have enough time, okay? But no matter what happens in this match, you got one job, okay? You have to keep yourself as positive as possible, all right? She's making you uncomfortable. You have to give credit. She's playing very well. She's played very good grass court tennis throughout the whole match. Okay? Her serve is like punching through. So just try to stay low. It's not coming up to you. Can you feel that? Like yesterday, the returns were much higher. Just stay low on your returns, okay? The first time you can get the ball that's short, you have to move your body up. It's not that you've got to get 2 steps inside the baseline to these balls. Hey, rest of the match, all right? There's one thing I want you to do well. Is just be really positive with yourself. Just play 1 point at a time and give it everything you got, and that's all you can do, okay?
One funny thing I noticed is the young lady, the tennis player, said, "I hate my playing, I hate everything." And then, no, she said, "You need to get positive." I can only imagine when the TV camera's on you. Coco Vanderen was who she's playing. And you're playing terrible. You know, you could hate yourself and you could hate everything. And so I thought it was interesting how she tried to coach her back to it. Let's watch the next clip.
It was interesting because she was playing Coco Vandeweghe, who's made the semi-finals of Wimbledon, a top 10 player, was the defending champion at that tournament. She was a set and a break down when I went out there. And Coco, I wanted to make sure that there was two things that she did. Coco's serve was bouncing up at her, so she needed to take it on the rise. Otherwise, it was just pushing her back the whole time. And I wanted to make sure that she got up inside the baseline to take advantage of the short balls. So that's why I repeated the same things over and over to her. And what happened was she was down and out. She went back out there and Coco got called for a time violation and she snapped. And mentally, she was so angry. She was angry at the umpire. Then Coco got her serve broken. And then she spiraled there from then. And she was completely in control of the match, but that time violation, which was out of Alex's control, turned the match. And if you hang in there long enough, and last week, Tara Moore was down 6-love, 5-love in her match and won. And 1 year I was at the French Open with Lisa Raymond. She was down 6-love, 5-love, 40-15, first round against a girl from the Czech Republic, and she won. You never know. They might do their ankle. They might snap because a bird landed on the net. You just always got to hang in there and give yourself your best opportunity to win. And if they win, they win.
So I'm wondering, for us amateurs, if you have any advice on how we can keep our momentum going and ensure that we don't have any sorts of dips in performance during matches. Maybe you've seen this with your pro players as well, but if any advice on that end.
I think that everybody dips, everyone loses concentration. So the ones that don't dip, Grand Slam champions, pros dip all the time in their concentration as well. So I would say that the big thing that players need to focus on is that when they feel themselves have a dip, you need to reset quickly. You don't want one bad point to turn into two bad games. We want to stop the rut as quick as possible. So the way to do that is that between point routine. It doesn't have to be super strict. It might, when Agassi slapped his leg before the point, that was just his cue to be like, okay, I'm ready. A lot of players, Ostapenko and Barty, that's two players that will come to mind. Before Ostapenko starts the point and she's in a ready returning position, she taps her racket on the ground before the person's about to start their service motion. Ash Barty, she's standing ready. She touches her dampener on her racket with her finger as an anchor, just to anchor herself in the present moment. It might be you touch the butt cap. It might be you pull on your hat. Rafa's doing this. Some players pull at their collar. It's all, and you do it every single point. It's basically just like, okay, I'm ready. And then it refocuses you in the point. So don't get worried about losing concentration. Get it back quickly is probably the main goal.
Okay, so that advice was about rituals. And that's we could do a whole lesson, a whole video on just rituals, and why they're important and how to do them. And she gave some great examples about how the pros do them. Our next video is going to be how to improve every aspect of your game. So please stay tuned for that. And I hope to see you there. Please like and subscribe. Press the like button or the subscribe button if you're very interested. And please share these videos as well. I'll see you the next time around.